What's up, millennials? Today in this video we're going to take a look at the valuation of a company called Spire. This is a space SPAC that's focusing on data analytics, and this company is going to be acquired by the SPAC that's currently trading under the ticker symbol NSH. But before we start, if at any moment during this video you don't really know what I'm talking about, please check out my full SPAC guide that I released a few months ago. It's going to be somewhere in the description, and today we're going to take a look at method number 2. Also, if you want access to the Excel sheet I'm going to be using today, you can join our Discord for free by going to nesami.com/discord, and then you can leave your name, leave your email address, and then you're going to get access to it. And of course, as always, don't trust me, verify me. I'm just documenting my journey here on YouTube. I'm certainly not a financial advisor. So don't copy my numbers as is, but use your own numbers, use your own multiples to come up with your own fair price per share. So let's first very briefly talk about what Spire does exactly. What they do is they get data from outer space, they then combine that data with third-party data, and then they sell all of that data to companies in multiple sectors, as we can see on the screen right now. So like the maritime sector, aviation, weather, and also orbital services. We don't have a merger date just yet, so we don't know exactly when the merger is going to take place. And if we then take a look at the pro forma valuation, we can see that they started trading at $10 per share. They are going to have about 163.7 million shares outstanding. So those are the numbers you can plug in over here in your Excel sheet. And then you're also going to be able to multiply those two numbers and get the pro forma market cap, which is right now a little bit more than $1.6 billion based on that price of $10 per share. Also, we can see that they're going to have $408 million in cash on their balance sheet. So if you plug in that over here, you can see that if you take that market cap, pro forma market cap, if you subtract the amount of net cash, the current enterprise valuation based on $10 per share, of course, is $1.2 billion. However, if we go into TradingView, we can see that they are now trading at $9.89 pre-market. So that's a little bit lower, of course, but it doesn't really change a lot in the pro forma market cap and enterprise value. So they basically stay the same. But we, of course, want to know what a fair enterprise value is for this company Spire. For that, we need two numbers. First of all, the revenue of a certain year, and then we're going to apply a certain range of multiples to that revenue to arrive at a fair enterprise value. So first of all, let's take a look at the revenue of a certain year, and for this valuation video, we're going to be taking a look at the year 2022. So here we can see that the company Spire, have already got a little bit of revenue in the year 2020. So last year, they brought in about $28 million in revenue. In 2021, that's going to be about $54 million in revenue. And in 22, it's about $114 million in revenue. So that's the number that we are going to be using today for our calculation. And we now need a fair range of multiples to apply to that revenue of 2022 to arrive at a fair enterprise value. We can see on the valuation benchmarking page in the investor presentation of Spire that they compared themselves to different companies out there. We can see that if you look at the EV to sales ratio, so the enterprise value to revenue ratio of 2022, the ratio for Spire itself is 10.8x. Okay, so this is Spire. We can then also see a few other companies they compared themselves with. All these companies you can see on the bottom of this page right here. And you can see multiples from, well, about 14x to about 50x all the way. And we can see that the median multiple, so the multiple in the middle actually is about 24 for all the vertical SaaS companies. And it's about 24 as well for all the high growth data and predictive analytics companies. That's quite a mouthful. So what they do is, okay, they say, based on these medians, it looks like 24x is a fair multiple for the sector that we are operating in. So what they do is the following. They don't take that 24x as a multiple, but they construe a range of multiples of 22x on the low end and 26x on the high end. So those are the multiples you can plug in over here in your Excel sheet too. And if you do that, the Excel sheet is going to take care of the rest of the calculations for you. What it's going to do is the following. It's first going to take that revenue of 2022, which was $114 million, of course, and it's going to apply that low multiple of 22x and a high multiple of 26x to arrive at these enterprise valuations. So for the low end, you would arrive at $2.5 billion. For the high end, almost $3 billion. And then you can also calculate a midpoint valuation, which is simply the average between the low and the high valuation. And that would be a little bit more than $2.7 billion. That is of course the enterprise value, and by the way, keep in mind we don't need to discount this back to the present, because we are taking a look at the multiples of 2022, of course, for Spire and also for the other companies. If we would have been taking a look at the multiples of a certain company in 2021 and we would apply that to the revenue of Spire in 2022, then yes, we would need to discount it back, but right now it's not needed. So as we can see, these are the enterprise valuations, and now we first need to go back to a fair market cap to then later arrive at a fair price per share. So we said in the beginning of this video, the difference between an enterprise valuation on the one hand and a market cap on the other hand is the amount of net cash they are going to have on their balance sheet. We said that was going to be $408 million. So if you then take those enterprise valuations and you add back the amount of net cash, you're going to arrive at these enterprise valuations, or actually these market caps, of course. So for the low end, 2.9 billion, for the midpoint valuation, 3.1 billion, and for the high valuation, almost $3.4 billion. And then you can also take those market caps, you can divide them by the amount of outstanding shares, which we said was going to be 163.7 million shares outstanding. And then if you do that, if you take those market caps, divide them by that amount, you're going to arrive at these fair prices per share. So for the low end, $17.81. For the midpoint valuation, $19.21. And for the high valuation, $20.60. So it looks like based on these calculations that Spire is currently undervalued. Of course, don't trust me, verify me, always check what I'm doing, always check if the calculations are actually correct. And also keep in mind, we have been taking a look at assumptions. So we've taken a look at the revenue of 2022. We don't know for sure if this is going to be the case. We've applied a certain range of multiples. Maybe that range of multiples should be lower, maybe it should be higher. So if you change one of these variables, the entire calculation is going to change and your fair price per share is going to change as well. So let me know your comments about this company, about Spire. Do you believe this is a good company to invest in? Let me know in the comments. And with that being said, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye!